Sims today and I were talking about Garoppolo versus Wentz, and the way that the question was pondered, it was a would you rather segment, and it was would you rather give up a first round pick for Garoppolo or a low round pick for Wentz? And we both said, wait a minute. All things equal, we'll take Wentz over Garoppolo. I'll take Wentz over Garoppolo because I still feel like there's a lump of clay quality to Wentz that you can make Wentz better than he's been. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah, hear me out.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You brought up the Wentz was the MVP candidate in 2017. I'm tired of hearing that. He was. That was 2017, Mike. That was such a long time ago. That was 5 years ago. I was in my mid-20s then. I mean, come on. Like, that's nothing.
I was in my early 50s then.
Yeah, exactly. And we see where you are now, right? So I'm not interested in hearing that. Like, that's not, I'll hear the 2019 argument because he did do some good things there. And that's only a couple of years ago. But if we got to go back to 2017 for freaking anything at this point in the NFL, what are we really talking about?
No.
And Todd Gurley was probably the best player in the league that year, right? Where's Todd Gurley now?
It's different.
It's different.
It's different at quarterback.
I know it's different positions, but I'm just saying, when we're talking about how quickly things move in the NFL, like that 2017 is not a reason to go after Carson Wentz. 2019
Here's my point.
But yeah.
Here's my point.
Okay.
His ceiling is higher than Garoppolo's. That's my point. His ceiling is higher. The best of Carson Wentz is better than the best of Jimmy Garoppolo. And Garoppolo's got that same defect to a certain extent where he gets himself injured. He does things he shouldn't do. I still have the image of him in 2018, week 3, Arrowhead Stadium. The tough guy drop the shoulder into the DB and tear your ACL in the process. Stupid, completely avoidable, ridiculous, reckless, one of the concerns about Carson Wentz. But I think Ron Rivera believes he can coach a lot of that out of him. And this guy's 9 years with Cam Newton. He has 9 years with Cam Newton. And I wonder how that relationship really was. But they made it work, and he won an MVP. And I know it was 2015. But Ron Rivera, exactly. I have faith that Ron Rivera will find a way to speak to the better angels of Carson Wentz, to get him to do the things he needs to do. Ron Rivera is an underrated coach in my estimation. And what else, Myles? What else are they going to do? That's the problem.
I know.
They've had every door slammed in their face.
You could replace Frank Reich with in that sentence that you just said about Ron Rivera, and pretty much you would get the same result if we were doing this a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that you could have said Frank Reich will probably speak to Carson Wentz's better angels because Frank Reich was there when Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate in 2017. So we'll see if Frank Reich can coach all of that out of him. And lo and behold, we're sitting here a year later, and the same things that we heard about Carson Wentz from the Eagles sources last year when they traded him, we were talking about that lack of leadership, the reckless play, the resistance to hard coaching. It's the same stuff we're hearing out of the Colts now. So I'm not really sure what's going to be different about all that when Carson Wentz is going to Washington. Maybe it's just going to be the fact that he's going to be around coaches he doesn't know as well. Maybe that's going to help him. Maybe another change of scenery is going to help him. Maybe 2 revenge games against the Eagles are going to help him. I don't know. But I also agree with you where you're like, well, what the hell else are they going to do? I don't know. They lost out on Russell Wilson. So like at this point, you just kind of, throw your hands up and you're like, well, let's do something.
Here's the difference. And I'm trying to come up with a metaphor, and this may be a little clunky, but it's never stopped me in the past. Mm-hmm. Here's what's different. Last year, Wentz was the problem child who was living with one family member who decided they can't take it anymore, right? We got to get rid of this kid. This kid's just bad. Can't live here anymore. And another family member took him in.
Yeah.
Right? And so when that happens, I think Wentz is like, hey, Frank Reich wants me. All this other stuff is overblown bull crap. I'm just going to be who I am because Frank Reich wants me. That's validation for everything I've ever done. And it went off the rails. This time around, he's getting kicked out of every family member's house. He's got to go live with a stranger. He's got to prove himself now. I think after it goes off the rails in Indy, the same way it went off the rails in Philly, now it's the wake-up call. I don't think he got the wake-up call last year because he was welcomed with open arms by someone who had worked with him before. And surely if Frank Reich believed all those things they were saying about Carson Wentz in Philadelphia, Frank Reich would have never said, come on home, we'll take care of you here. You ignore those mean people in Philadelphia who don't understand you and don't appreciate you. Now it's different. Now Wentz, if he's ever going to grow up, and how old is he, 27? Probably 27, right? I'm 20. Oh, geez, he's 29. That's old. He's almost as old as Myles. At some point, though, physically, like Jimmy Garoppolo is who he is. He's never getting any better. Wentz has shown that he's got a high degree of talent. If he gets to the point where he accepts what he needs to do, if he truly matures, if he truly changes, if he truly grows, and is willing to take hard coaching, maybe he walks through the door and says, I've heard all this criticism, Coach Rivera. Do your best, do your worst. I'm going to be the lump of clay. Mold me the way you want. I understand my career is now on the line. This is, you could say he's falling upward, but he sort of is. Did we really think for sure he was going to be a starting quarterback in 2022? I wasn't 100% certain he was going to be. He's getting an opportunity, but he now, I think, understands. I'm trying to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, because it always frustrates me when you have somebody who is good at the hard parts of a job and is tripping over the easy parts of the job. And it would seem to me the easy part of the job, when you have the size, when you have the skill, when you have the arm talent, when you have the stuff that does not grow on trees, the easy part is developing the leadership skill. The easy part is taking coaching. The easy part is staying within the confines of what your talent level is, doing the little things. He's got the hard part covered. He's just got to focus on taking care of the little things, the easy things, the stuff anyone can do. If he can do that, he can still be pretty good, maybe.
I don't know if the easy stuff is as easy as you're making it seem, Mike. Because people are who they are, especially once you get to be 28, 29, 30. It's not like you're going to all of a sudden change. I mean, maybe the career circumstances will make him say, yeah, I have to be better at X, Y, Z. I have to be better in terms of being a leader. I have to be better at taking coaching. I can't just go in and do the same things that I've done. But I mean, if you look at like stats, and maybe this is the way Carson Wentz would think about it, it's like, well, hey, man, I had a much better season in 2021 than I did in 2020. My sack rate was cut in half, basically. So he was taking sacks on about 10.5% of his dropbacks in 2020, and that went down to about 5.8% in 2021. So he was getting rid of the ball better in most situations, but then when it came to the last couple weeks of the season, he just couldn't really get it done when he needed to. So I don't know if that's something where he's going to say, I absolutely have messed up so much. But first they sent me out to live with my aunt and uncle in Bel Air, and now I have to go to Albuquerque, Mexico.
That's it.
With some strangers.
How did I miss that?
I have no idea.
How did I miss that? Peacock now streaming. I haven't watched. I'm not caught up yet, but I liked what I watched the first couple episodes of Bel Air, because Fresh Prince was appointment viewing for my wife and I back in the days when we were courting. Monday nights, I think it was 8 o'clock. Yes.
I have no idea.
Anyway,
I wasn't even alive.
Anyway, here's the other wrinkle.
Okay.
Going back to the same division where the Eagles are, give him a little. I just think that Rivera's got to come up with ways to motivate him to be the best he can be, and maybe facing the Eagles twice a year will do that. I mean, that's fascinating to me.
You have a lot of faith in Ron Rivera.
From whence he came.
You always express it. Like you have a lot of faith in Ron Rivera, and I respect that.
I do.
That is one of the things that you have really stuck to in the times that I have been doing this show for a year now. Like you really believe in Ron Rivera.
I do, and I think that he will find a way to make this work. He will find a way to make it work. And you know what? If it doesn't, he'll get dumped next year. He probably won't get traded. He's probably not going to be the Brandon Cooks of quarterbacks and get traded every year for 3 years straight. But he'll be out. They're not going to double down. If it's a mistake, if it ends up Peter Brady volcano blowing up everywhere, they will move on. And you got to take your shots. You got to take your swings. I admire the willingness to do what needs to be done to try to make the team better. When you try to get Russell Wilson and you don't get him. When you surely called the Packers about Aaron Rodgers and the Packers weren't going to trade him within the conference, even to one of the lesser teams in the conference, because Rodgers would still make the Washington Commanders a hell of a lot better team by his mere presence. So they tried, and really after Rodgers and Wilson, it's a long drop to the next tier, Myles, and it may have come down to Garoppolo and Wentz. And with Garoppolo having shoulder surgery this week and the 49ers probably wanting a hell of a lot more than what was given up to get Wentz, and with Garoppolo in the last year of his contract with a $25 million compensation package, no guarantees beyond this year. If he's good, then you're stuck. You got to franchise tag him or sign him to a big contract. They at least have some control over Carson Wentz. And again, I would take Wentz over Garoppolo. All things equal, I'll take Wentz. You take Garoppolo. One of us will be 8-9, and the other will be 7-11.
Yes, probably 7-10, actually. But you were close enough.
7-10. Well, they're going to have 18 games. They know who we mean.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, they will. I mean, I will say this. Even though I clearly am not the biggest fan of the move, I think that when you're in a position where you have to do something, this is a risk worth taking. Because on the off chance that you're right, then you're going to be in a good position with Carson Wentz. You're going to be in a favorable position. And when it comes to the quarterbacks in this year's draft class, you're probably out of luck if you really want to go all in on one of those guys. I mean, it's just not the same kind of caliber of draft class that we've seen in the last few years. So when it comes to quarterbacks, so I don't love it, but I also understand that Washington is in a position where look, let's just throw this dart at the board. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, we're back at the drawing board next year, which we probably would be anyway. I mean, it's basically what the Colts did too. So, sometimes you got to just rearrange the deck chairs in the Titanic and hope it works, I guess.
How would you have felt about the Washington Commanders going after Deshaun Watson?
I think it would have made a lot of sense. But geez, from an on-field standpoint, when now is, I heard that and I thought, well, we're talking about what's on the field, right? But then you think 5 seconds after I say that out of my mouth, and it's good Lord, that's not necessarily the type of alleged behavior that you want in an organization with all of the alleged behavior that we've heard about, right? So, I don't know.
Well, from a PR perspective, when you consider the fact that this team's already getting dragged over the front office allegations, how much worse would it be if they add Deshaun Watson? And if they start winning, look, winning is the ultimate deodorant when it comes to things of this nature. Sure. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't have. Surely they thought about it before they went Carson Wentz, because we're just 2 days away from the grand jury considering the criminal cases against Deshaun Watson. He may have a clean bill of legal health, at least from the criminal side of the ledger. Civil case is still alive, obviously, but by the time we're doing the show on Friday, Myles, we may know that the grand jury did what they call return no true bill. I never did quite understand what that meant, but that means didn't indict him. If he's not indicted, he's in play, and I think he lands with an NFC team, and I think Carolina's got to be feeling pretty good about their chances, especially with Washington moving on with Wentz. I feel like there's a story to be told there, and maybe somebody who actually, covers the sport for a living like me or you will find it out. But I'd love to know what made Washington do it now. Why right now? Why was the time now to pull the trigger? Was there someone else that was going to do the deal? Was there some other player that Washington thought maybe they could wait and get, but they decided let's not screw around. We don't want to miss out. But the timing seems a little odd to me.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.